It's an Irish morning in the mountains of Appalachia. Over the last several days, we've had some real cool air move in. So I've got my sweater on this morning for the first time working out in the yard. I'm sure I'll take it off later in the day, but it's a real change in the weather, a real sense of fall. That drastic change in the weather has made some drastic changes in the garden. Our tomatoes that looked so wonderful last week when we were out and we actually moved them around and actually got them strung up, I feel like that was kind of a wasted attempt because this cold weather has really damaged them. Even though it's not been that cold, just that damp coolness has really just took the life out of them. So I'm not sure if they'll produce any other tomatoes than the green ones that's already set on them. At least I'll have those green ones, but I was so hopeful last week about the wonderful tomatoes and just had visions of having ripe tomatoes in maybe the 1st of October. I don't think that's going to happen. These cool temps are forecasted to continue through next week, and they really feel wonderful, so I'm not mad about them being here. It's a real welcome change compared to the heat that we've had, and I love all the seasons, so every time a season changes, you begin to get those first few taste of that change. I'm always excited and pleased by that. So even if it means the end of my the first time we ever tried the late tomatoes, even if it means the end of the late tomatoes, I'm okay with it. There are a few things we need to get done today. I don't know if you can hear, if you hear a noise behind me, that's Matt. He's already got the wood splitter going, so he's already splitting wood. He's been doing some other things this morning. After I cleaned up from breakfast, now I'm out here. I'm going to mow the grass one more time. It's not grew a lot since the last time we mowed it, but I'm going to mow the grass. And then there's some beds I want to clean out. Right here behind the greenhouse, I've got to get the rest of my winter squash up. I need to do that. I think my watermelon's finally ready to harvest. My volunteer watermelon that did better than any of the ones I grew, really. That's how it goes sometimes. Volunteers seem to do better. So there are a few things that we need to get took care of today, and it's really invigorating to be able to do them out in this wonderful air. Probably too that we've kind of been under the weather and we're both feeling a lot better, so that's probably another reason it feels wonderful to actually feel good and be outside.
Fine dust off that thing that's so volatile. You see how well that worked. And yours will, but you got to have that good knife like I give you to do that. It's got
Yeah.
that spine on it.
And it's interesting, like I said, I mean, that's me being a metal person, of like, you almost always think about rough edges on metal and finishing them, but that was a selling point for those knives, that they didn't do that. They left that rough edge so that you are able to have that edge to do that with, and it's kind of like also saving the blade on your knife, because you're doing this little tiny shaving stuff.
See, it's a little uncomfortable, like to put your thumb on it and use it like that.
It is
You really shouldn't be doing that anyway.
Yeah, but
a lot of people do, but people don't like that sharp edge. But that's purposely what it's for.
That's the purpose. Yeah, I'd rather have the sharp edge. Yeah, and if you were going to try to baton some small stuff, that would be one more reason to have a rough edge like that.
See how well that works?
Oh, I
One
see.
stripe.
What I want to do is I bought some other makeup brushes, and those makeup brushes come in a little box. I swear that's why I wanted the brushes. I'm like, forget them, I just wanted the tin. But it's a flat little tin box, and I kept it because I thought, well, this is just such a good little box. There's no reason to throw it away. I'll put something in it. And of course I thought I'd put rocks in it. But then I thought that would be a perfect to put a little fire kit in. Get myself some dry wood and bundle it up and put some of this and just different little things in it, so that no matter where you go, if it's raining, if you're somewhere where it's wet, you always have something dry to start with. And then for bigger stuff, of course, you're always going to be able to pick, look up high for firewood and not,
I'll show you
the
how
ground
to
is
do.
wet.
I'll show you how to make charcoal too. You do it in a little tin, but you put it in the fire, but you get it hot, but you don't allow it to catch fire inside that tin. You get it so hot in that tin, and it's got to be an organic material like cotton or even wood. And you get it hot enough in there till it gets so hot it turns into carbon.
Yeah.
And then carbon will take a spark, and it will burn and smoke real slowly.
Yeah.
and you can either ferro rod that, or you can flint and steel it, and you can start a fire that way.
I like that, and I like it.
That's old-timey stuff.
I like it for that reason, but I like it because it's foolproof.
You don't have to have a big lighter. Big lighter's nice.
Right, but
And
what
that's
if you
what
don't
I'm
have
going to
it?
use most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's good to be able to know how to do it the other way too.
Right. Half of it is the knowledge, is just knowing this stuff.
That's that old lore that people don't have anymore. And I just like to know it and be able to still do it in case I ever had to have it.
Yep. I like that too. And it makes me feel confident in my ability, and it makes me feel self-sufficient, like I can take care of myself. Like if I was the last person alive, I'm like, well, this wouldn't be good to be alone, but I wouldn't feel helpless.
This thing, it's a little shameful to me to run that, but you can get a lot more done. But I can still do it with this.
Yeah.
It's slower, and I don't like it as much anymore, but I'll still bust some of this wood with this just to stay in shape and to stay limbered up enough to do it. But that just does it so much faster, but there may come a time when you can't run that.
Or it breaks or whatever. I think my statement about that would be, and I bet I'm not the only one who feels this way, is there's nothing wrong with partaking and using technology as it relates to your life and as it helps your life, for convenience sake, so long as you don't forget or forsake the old ways, which were what got us here, which is what we're going to rely on when technology doesn't work. That's what I say. Nothing wrong with using these easy technologies, but it's good to know the old ways too.
Oh, mercy, it hurts. Ain't done that in a while.
Well, I would help, but I broke my back the last time, so probably shouldn't. You know who likes to split firewood?
Who?
Me. I know, I was like, bring an axe. I'll put you to work. That's some hard wood, too.
Yeah, that's not exactly the right kind of axe to be hitting it with either.
Where's that go devil? Is it around here?
Right there.
Oh, there it is.
I'm fixing to get a hold of it.
Some of this tree here was a hollow log. It's dead. It must have been dead. It's hot. I saw a picture. It's hard.
I just don't like this thing because it's got a fiberglass handle. I hate that.
Wear your hands out.
Like wood. But it's got a big wedge head on it and it'll bust that.
Oh, yeah.
Golly, it hurts.
Rough, nasty work.
Oh, it's giving up now.
What does people say, giving its milk?
Giving its milk.
I'm gonna say that. Yeah, actually, I've only heard you two say that, but. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's so satisfying. If I was strong and able to do that, that's all I'd do all day, split wood and laugh.
Split wood and
I
laugh.
feel superior. I can split this wood. It's true.
Still good to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But you can get so much more done with that.
Well, I tell you what, there's people my age who can't do that. And that's sad. So. Nobody's tried to call me and get a hold of me. Ready, Brady?
So I got through mowing the yard. Matt's still splitting wood. You can hear the splitter running. And I've been going around trying to put some mulch around some of our fall things that we planted. Now the fall things I planted here in the front of the house, in the front of the garden there, especially down there, they just didn't do very good. None of my beets have come up. A lot of my other stuff I planted didn't come up. And then the stuff that did come up, I got confused about because I did not mark what I planted. And I think in my last video I said I knew that I didn't plant any radishes there because I'd planted them in other places. Well, I did. I have radishes growing. That's what one whole row of radishes. Definitely, that's what that is. And then the row behind it that I thought was turnips is actually, it looks like kohlrabi. I think that's what it is. So I need to do much better about actually writing down what I plant or get me some of those little markers. I always think I will. And some years I actually start out with a notebook and take notes, and then as the summer goes on, I just quit. I just quit doing it. Of course, as it grows, I can tell what it is, but it is helpful to know what you planted. Anyway, so in this part of the garden right here, where we had the beans, is where I planted a long row of turnips. Only part of them come up. The part that did, they're doing really good. They look great. And then I went back and planted some cabbage on either side of them. So that's what I'm going to work on right now, is just kind of putting some mulch around on both sides to kind of help them. We've been really dry here in Brasstown. One day this week we did have some rain. We had like a little spell of rain. It quit for a little while, and then another little spell of rain that same day. But not near enough to actually moisten the ground good, to actually drench the plants. Not enough for that at all. So the mulch will help at least capture the dew each night and kind of hold that in, and then hopefully we'll get some rain in the coming days. So I'm back here behind the greenhouse trying to harvest the winter squash that are back here. I only got three butternuts, but this is the biggest one, so the other two are a little bit smaller than that. I had a winter squash that I can't remember what this is. I think it's the Mrs. Amerson's is the name of it. I'm going to have to look though at the picture and see if that's actually what it is, or if I planted something else by mistake, or that I got confused. Lots of ground cherries back here on the ground that can be picked up for future use, but the rest of everything is mostly dead. There's the vines for the butternuts and also for the pumpkins are still putting out little fruit, but they're about that big, so I don't think that they'll actually make anything before truly cold weather gets here. You can see over there on the bank I have one pumpkin, so I'll leave that one that grew back here for a couple more days at least. Well, probably a couple more weeks. I'll just leave it until I hear that a hard frost is coming. And pumpkins usually can stand a little bit after they've matured like that. The plant can't stand it. The plant will die. But so this has turned out to be, it didn't do the best ever for a garden plot, but this was our first year of planting back here. So I think that as we continue to build up the soil, this will be a great place for winter squash to grow. This was our first year of planting, and it didn't produce as much as I'd hoped, but still not bad for a new bed. We got, 4 or 5 winter squash and that pumpkin, and lots of ground cherries. I had a beautiful sunflower back here. It's died back now, so I know that it'll probably be some sunflowers again back here next year. But hopefully another year of adding to the soil will make it even better for next summer. Trying to steal Matt's popsicle right off. He's got lime today. I don't like lime, so I've got the suntan oil. Really good, even though it's not quite hot today. Strong?
Yeah, pretty good though, I guess.
Nice working today, ain't it?
Yeah.
I can't believe I had a sweater on all morning.
Better than it was a month ago.
a lot cooler than it was even last week, last weekend. And we both feel better today, so that's a plus.
Yeah, way better.
So Matt got quite a bit of wood, a good little pile anyway, split this morning. That'll be a chore that just continues, won't it?
Yep. I don't mind it too bad though. I like fiddling with wood. I like to burn it.
You'd like it better if we didn't live on a goat bluff and we had more room to spread out.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
We have such sparse, flat places. So this should just be the wood pile. Actually, it should just be part of the driveway where you back up.
Well, it used to be.
Yeah. But now it's the mulch pile, the wood pile, the trailer parker, where you park the trailer. And probably other stuff back there. The well's back there. So it'd be nice to be able to spread out in a big area. Have a big wood pile.
I'd like to have a big barn.
Yeah, that'd be nice. We talked about putting a barn right here behind us, like a pole barn. But then it's kind of like, what do we do with all this stuff that's sitting here?
Well, you could put it in it. You know, sort of.
Maybe. Or,
Yeah. I mean, put the wood splitter and the four-wheeler and everything in it, and then could shed off one side of it to put all the wood under, and then that would free up, you know, space for the four-wheeler and the wood splitter to be in the dry. And
well, how hard are pole barns to build?
it ain't hard. Finding the time's the hard part. Buying material, it's a high.
That's true right now.
Air's a whole lot drier. I like that.
That's what's really makes it feel, I mean, it is cooler, but that's really what feels better. Airish.
You can hear better. You can hear what's going on around you better.
Yeah. There's a clearness even just looking up at the sky and the trees.
I like it.
Yeah, Matt don't like hot weather.
I hate it.
I like it okay. I like all of it. I like every part of every season. Except this is my least favorite. Not the weather, not the coolness, but the way everything looks, how it gets on, like, takes on like a rusty look.
You don't like it?
No.
I do.
But it don't last long, and then the trees are, you know, the colorful leaves happen, and first big frost will push back all the green, all the rusty looking places. Matt loves the first big frost.
Yeah. I wish just 30 every morning and 50 every day, 12 months a year.
It'd be hard to grow a garden.
Yeah, it probably would, but my goodness, it'd feel better outside.
It'd be hard to grow tomatoes. Even this little several days of cool weather has really damaged our tomatoes. So, you may get to say you was right. Is that what you're saying?
I tried nothing.
I had such high hopes. Like last weekend, I was like, they're going to just be great all the way to October. Which October is just next week, but they're not going to be, I mean, they just went drastically downhill this week, haven't they?
Yeah, and it's not been that cold, but It's just that late in the year, they
Yeah.
just don't flourish.
And because we live on the north side of the mountain, as the winter progresses, we get less and less sunshine. And because being on the north side, things stay really damp, and I don't know. Which is good for us a lot of time, the damp stuff in the summer when it's a drought everywhere else. We like that, but yeah. It's just too late for the tomatoes to make it, ain't it?
Fry them.
Yeah, we fry 'em.
Waited all summer on fried tomatoes and I've still not got any.
Oh no, you're so pitiful. Maybe I'll fry you some tomorrow. Even the skies took on like the bluish color, the nice blue, hadn't it? So what was you showing Katie about your knife?
Just showing her how to start a fire with her knife and her ferro rod, because she wants to learn how, because I give her a knife. And
It's tomorrow's Corey and Katie's birthday, so Matt gave them a present yesterday, give them a knife that he had. He didn't go out and buy it, but he's got a large collection, so he gave both of them what kind of knife was it?
It was a Mora Garberg.
Yeah, have you got it on you?
No.
Oh, you took, the one you were showing her a little while ago.
Oh, yeah.
That one. Is it a Mora too?
It is, but it's not one of those.
Oh.
It's a Bushcraft Black, I think it's called.
But you were showing her this part. What about it that's interesting?
It's just got a sharp spine, and that way you can scrape material off of wood to get the little fine dust off of like fat wood, and it's really combustible, and it'll start a fire with a ferro rod really easy. And I was just showing her that because she's kind of interested in learning that.
Yeah.
It's a good skill to have if you're going to be outside and be in the woods.
Yeah. It's a good skill to have anyway, to be able to build a fire.
You can build a fire in a creek.
That's a good skill to have. It's fun to build fires. Just that. Even when I was a little girl building a fire, of course you need to, somebody needs to tell you the safety stuff. You don't want to build a fire when it's really dry and walk off and leave it and those kind of things. We know that. But being able to have the kind of childhood where you could build a fire yourself and, play around it, or if you were roast a weenie or something over it. It's a great skill to have. Corey went through a spell. We have like a fire pit in the backyard, and remember she went through a spell where she'd go out there and build her a fire and cook her a hot dog.
And just sit out
there after dark. Yeah, she did that for, I don't know, she was probably, 14, 15, something like that.
That's good. That's peaceful.
Yeah. So, of course, if you heat with fire, then it's good to know how to build your fire, if the fire goes out.
When I was young, we had a big patch of woods below our house that did not belong to us, but I used them like it was ours. And I went down there in those woods and built like a campsite or like a lean-to. I had a big piece of that mill felt that come out of the mill there where Daddy works, and I used that just as a kind of like a big tarp. And I would go down there and camp all summer long. I'd go down there and stay by myself because I just enjoyed it. And I'd build a fire and cook supper over the fire and sleep under that tarp. And I did that for several years. I just left it there, and it finally, over time, it deteriorated and fell in. But
did your dog go with you?
Yeah. I just always enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Still would. I just don't do it anymore much. But it's good to know how to, and good to, it was, of course, it was summertime. It wasn't bad weather or cold weather or nothing, but I enjoyed it.
You and Eric, Matt's friend Eric, y'all used to go on some epic camping trips too, didn't you?
Yeah,
hike places and camp.
Yeah, and then it's, even though you don't camp much anymore, it's still just to go up in the woods here above the house and build a little small fire and make a cup of coffee or warm up something to eat on. It's just enjoyable. It's really nice to be able to live somewhere where you can do that too.
Right. Somehow it's something strange about it, but it somehow puts you in tune, not just with the natural world. Right. It does that, but somehow with yourself. I don't know. It gives you a tune-up somehow. Yeah.
You can't beat it. Nothing like cooking breakfast on a little small fire early in the morning up in the woods.
Food tastes so much better when you're outside. I don't know what it is. If it's a bologna sandwich or a steak, it tastes better.
We can do that again. We ain't done it in a while.
Yeah, we do. Me too. It's really amazing how clear the air is.
Yeah, that's it. When the season first begins to turn, that's what you see first. And then some days will get kind of hot, but that haze and that thick, humid air is gone.
A wise person once told me, if you remember this, that how you knew for sure when fall was coming, it was like it says, we'll still have some warm days. Not next week though, it's supposed to be on the cool side though, so that's nice. But if you do have some cool days, how you know that it's really coming, I mean the change is coming, is when you go in the shade is cooler than it is in the summertime.
I told you that.
You told me that. That's why I wondered if you'd remember it.
The shade's cooler.
Yeah, cooler than it is. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Cooler than, I mean, of course in the summer, even if it's 95 degrees, the shade feels better than the sunshine. But you said the shade feels cooler. You know, there is days like that, like where you're out maybe working and you're sweating, but you go sit in the shade for a few minutes, you get a chill. You know, you get got to put your sweater or jacket back on.
I must have been trying to impress you or something, because that's kind of stupid.
I don't think it's stupid. I thought
it's true, but
I thought it was really wise.
Of course, it ain't wise.
I thought it was. I'd never thought about it like that before.
Well, a youngin' would know that.
Oh well, apparently I was a youngin'. I didn't know.
Whatever.
I thought it was pretty smart. I never noticed it before. You're pretty wise, Dad.
Oh, yeah.
You are. Teach me stuff all the time. I've been doing it for over 30 years now.
Looks like you'd be smart by now.
Well, I'm getting there. It's growing on me. I'm growing, changing.
Some of what I've taught you need to forget.
No.
Squirrels cutting acorns.
Yeah, I've seen one. That's what I was watching going up that tree. They make trips up and down and up and down and up and down.
You may get to make a trip in the pot.
They're jumping from tree to tree now. A trip to the pot. Squirrel would be good.
Trip to the pressure pot.
Yeah, Matt loves to cook them in the pressure pot. Get them really tender that way.
They're good.
They are good.
People used to eat them lots, but it's almost a thing to pass now. People don't even consider it to be food.
Right.
They're kind of grossed out by the idea, but there's not anything wrong with them. I like them. It's fine food.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as its nutritional base, it's just as good for you as the deer meat is. It's just different.
Right.
People, I guess they can't get past it either being cute or being like a rat.
Yeah.
But
I don't think of them like a rat though,
No, I don't
I'm not scared of all of squirrels, but I'm terrified of rats. They just seem so creepy and gross. But I mean, they just browse, right? Squirrels do.
Yeah, well, they just eat nuts.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, they're just
clean. Yeah.
It's good clean meat.
Yeah.
Put them in a pressure pot, get them done, then drop some dumplings in there with them, and that's mighty fine.
It's a feast.
Yeah.
Get some cornbread to go with it. We sure have enjoyed this first Airish day, being outside and working and not sweating to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really, really nice. So we hope that you've enjoyed spending time with us too. We're always happy when you drop by to help us celebrate Appalachia, which is a lot of the things we talked about today, you know, being self-sufficient, learning how to build fires and cut your firewood and grow a garden, all those kind of things. We really enjoy living in Appalachia, and we hope that you enjoy what we offer to tell you about where we live.